Hey everyone, welcome to the stream today. I decided since we're doing an advanced lesson today, might as well just start early so I can take any questions you might have. You can review the prerequisites before we get started, but just want to say first, welcome everyone who's here to the live stream. And since you're here early, more people are going to be coming in, so we can just wait for them. And we will start the lesson right at 2 o'clock, which is exactly 20 minutes from now. Hey, Nikki. Yes, let's see. Everyone, welcome. And if you're here, you're wondering what the stream is about, check the title. It's going to be an advanced level lesson about the two grammar forms you can find in there. And I really recommend being familiar with the prerequisites, though, before starting. But of course, any level is welcome to join. Just know that this is a legitimately advanced Korean level lesson. So if you're a beginner and you're watching the lesson and you feel like, oh, I just don't get it, that's okay. It's for advanced learners. But yeah, you can take a look at the prerequisites. You want to make sure you're familiar with all, specifically these two forms. These ones are not prerequisites for today. These are just bonus. If you know them, you'll get a little bit more out of the lesson. And I'm also putting these up here because I'm not going to be comparing and contrasting this lesson with these other forms, but we will be mentioning them because they don't work the same way. But I will be mentioning them today just so that if you already know kind of what they are, then you'll be familiar when I say it's kind of like this, but different meaning. So that's why I put them up here. But these are the prerequisites. You want to know the tool form, not just the particle tool, but the grammar form when it's used with conjugated verbs. So like 하다 would become 해도, 가도 for 가다, like that, as well as 돌아도, which is 하돌아도 if you use 하다. So this one attaches to the stem and this one attaches to the conjugated verb. Again, these are just beginner level forms, both of these, but you still really want to be familiar with these 100%. No matter what your level is, you want these forms before going into today's lesson. Okay, yeah, so welcome. Just going to read the chat, see who's here. I know more people are still coming in. Vincent Jones says, I am a beginner, but I will watch, and maybe one day I'll be able to keep up. If you're a beginner and you don't yet know these forms, though, I would recommend skipping this lesson and doing these forms first. Of course, you can do whatever you want. I can't tell you what to do. But I would say these forms are going to be a million times more useful to you as a beginner. In fact, even as an intermediate or advanced speaker, these forms are going to be way more useful to you than the form we're going to be learning today. I'll just say that. So if you're a beginner, you're like, oh, I'm just kind of curious what an advanced grammar form is like. Well, you feel free to stick around, but these are what I would recommend knowing first, at least, because these are the really common ones. And the one we're doing today is much less common. And I'll talk about that during the lesson, but this is a much less common and advanced grammar form. And unnecessary, I would say. Yeah, I would say you don't really need this form unless you want to express a few specific things, in which case it does come in handy. It has a very specific, a peculiar feel to it that other grammar forms can't encompass. But as far as if you're trying to translate stuff to English, from English to Korean still, this will be a useless form. I'll say that. You won't need this form for just translating, like, oh, how do I say this in Korean? If you're at that stage, you will not need this form. If you're already speaking Korean, then this form is useful. It will come in handy. Joe Turner. Welcome, Joe Turner. Okay. I do see a few beginner level questions in the chat. I'm not ignoring those on purpose. I'm ignoring them intentionally because it's an advanced level lesson. I want to focus more on intermediate level or above questions for today, just to be fair for the people who've been waiting for an advanced lesson. But if you do have specific questions about Korean, you can also feel free to ask them after the class where I take any question, as well as you can search my channel. I probably already have a video about everything I can think of. If I don't, let me know. I'll make one. But I probably already have videos about everything that you're thinking in the beginner level. Joshua Bowden, 기대돼요. Nice, welcome. It's just scanning really quick. I don't have time to read all the comments, but I'm kind of scanning through them. Let's see, who was first today? And I also want to know, where's everyone watching from? Where are you watching from out there? Let's see. It doesn't show me the very first person who commented when I started. Oh, wait, here it does. Looks like it might have been Danny Kiriev. As far as when I clicked go live, that might have been the very first person to comment. Bulgaria. Nice. I know my little brother went to Bulgaria and learned some Bulgarian. And I guess a lot of people over there like Korean stuff too. It's pretty cool. York, PA. What is York, PA? I guess PA is Pennsylvania, but York, is that a city in Pennsylvania? You can tell how good I am with I almost said geology. You can tell how good I am with geography now. Italy, Turkey, nice. Texas. Got our Texas representatives. Celeste as well in Texas. Nice. I've never been to Texas. My grandmother, she passed away like, I don't know, like 12 years ago or so, or maybe more. I don't remember. My grandma was from, actually, she was Mexican. My grandma was Mexican, and she was from Mexico City, but she grew up and lived in Texas. And then she moved to California, and then she moved back to Texas when she got older. But I never once went to Texas to visit her. I actually don't even think I had a car at the time. And it's really far. But anyway, yeah, I don't think I've ever been to Texas. I wanted to go someday just to get I heard they have like really cheap, gigantic steaks. I don't know. Maybe it's stereotype. If I go there, I'm expecting a giant steak though. But yeah. Hey, 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. And Sophia, Finland. Nice. Isn't Finland? Am I getting it confused? Where's the country that Santa Claus lives? Like the Santa, I'm not, obviously, okay, there's no one in the chat that shouldn't be anyone in the chat young enough who I'm going to spoil anything, but I don't mean the fake Santa Claus. I mean the actual, they have like an older guy. He knows a bunch of languages, and he's at like the place with the elves and everything. You know, is that Finland? Finland. Okay, that's right. I could have sworn it was Finland. I just didn't want to assume, because I'm like, it's either Finland or where else was I thinking? I was thinking, was it Norway? But no, it seems more like Finland. Celeste says, I don't really like it here. I'm actually from New Mexico. All right. I haven't been there either. So I've been to Arizona a lot. Kind of close, right? My grandparents lived in Arizona until recently. But I went to Arizona, I don't know, multiple times. Very dry weather. I'm guessing New Mexico is similar. Someone said, that's Florida. Where is Florida? Nice. But yeah, everyone, welcome. We'll get started in about 12 minutes. So if you're here and wondering, why isn't Billy teaching? Well, I always start a little bit early so that we can have time just to say hi. And you can look over the prerequisites before we start. Also, if you are a Patreon member, you get to get today's outline for all the sentences, as well as a worksheet with an additional, I think it's 11 or 12 extra sentences using the forms we're learning today. So if you ever feel like, I want more sentences, check out the worksheet. I always add more because I know there's not enough time in these live streams to go over, 20, 30 sentences like I would like to. But I can at least have extra ones in the worksheet for you to practice. And so get that if you are a Patreon member as well. Also, if you are a member of this channel, if you see someone's name and they have like a little icon next to their name and their name is in a different color, those are members of this channel, and they also get access to some benefits. They get to watch these live streams tonight. So after this finishes, you get to watch it tonight before everyone else. Also, maybe next week I'll announce it. Next week or the next week at the latest. If I can, I'm filming a new series, but I can't announce it yet until I've actually filmed it and edited the first episode. So we'll see. Once I've got that done, then I will announce what it is. But I will say members will get to watch a few episodes earlier than everyone else when that comes out. But again, that's not going to be coming out yet. I haven't announced it yet. That'll be maybe, I want to say April that it'll start. But anyway, sometime like that. Yeah, I'll announce that in a week or two. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Ari says, are you going to dab? I always dab for donations. So when people donate, I dab. So if you've ever seen me doing tons of dabs, sometimes I get really large donations. Usually I try to do like one dab per dollar, but with different currencies, I have to convert it. So yeah. Let's see. Michael Alvarado, will this lesson be high beginner friendly? I'm sorry, but no. Some of my advanced level lessons, yes. Sometimes when I teach an advanced level concept, it's only advanced in that it's difficult to make it and use it yourself, but useful for beginners to understand still. Sometimes there's lessons like that. Like there isn't really any clear-cut lines between the levels. Some concepts may be intermediate level, but they're so common that even though they require other grammar forms first to use, so they're intermediate technically, they are so useful that I think beginners are okay learning about them even if they don't use them yet. Today's form is a legitimately advanced level topic that I don't think beginners would need or really find a use for in recognizing yet, but you can be the judge of that. But I would say this lesson is better for people who can already speak Korean, whatever level that is. So that could be high beginner level, could be intermediate level, could be advanced level, whatever level that you're already speaking some Korean, you're having conversations with people by that. I don't just mean you can say a few sentences, but like you could realistically have some sort of a conversation with a Korean person, then this lesson will probably be beneficial for you. You'll probably hear this form and see it. Otherwise, yeah, I'll leave it up to you. Because sometimes we do different levels on this channel every week. And most of the levels have been beginner, but then a good portion are also intermediate or advanced. So I'm just letting you know. Bora Ghoul says, how about doing 100 dabs even before the lesson just in case? That's like counting your chickens before they hatch. If I do 100 dabs, then that means I have to get $100 in donations. And I don't want to put that kind of pressure on you. So yeah, someone said dab nations. Yes. So yeah, I don't want to do them in advance. I feel like I'd be taking out a loan that I'm not sure I'd be able to repay. Sometimes that's, some lessons will get like, giant donation. Great. Other ones, it'll be less and I don't mind, but I don't want to assume that, right? Samiksha Mishra says, I want to recommend you the Indian Noodles Maggi. Please try it once. You've piqued my curiosity. Indian Maggi noodles. Okay, it's an instant noodle pack. What is special about it? What is it that makes this good? It looks like regular ramen. So what makes this special? Why do I want to try this? Irvin Grana, shout out from the Philippines. Welcome. I do like instant ramen though, so if there's a special reason I should try this, Samiksha, let me know. And I can try it. I have access to all of that stuff. I'm in Los Angeles. So if it tastes good, I can get it. One of my favorite ramens is actually, is it Indonesian? Mie goreng. Let me check. Yeah, Indonesian. Okay, so mie goreng is like an Indonesian dish, and it's really good. It's like noodles with like egg and a bunch of vegetables and stuff, and yeah. But there is a mie goreng ramen version, and it's legitimately good also. Like it's not the same thing, but it's really good in its own way, and it's really cheap too. Bonnie Rumsfield, I actually haven't come across this grammar form, so I'm really curious. Yeah, I don't blame you. And that's one of the reasons why I'm classifying this as advanced. In addition to it legitimately being an advanced grammar form, I've only run into this form on a number of occasions. And it's not such a weird grammar form. It's not. It's a normal grammar form. But it just doesn't tend to get used in favor of many alternative ways to say almost the same thing. Slightly different emphasis, slightly different meaning, but mostly, for the most part, it's the same thing. You can express with these forms. You get the same feeling, almost. So there's not really a need to use this kind of fancier, more advanced form when there are more common substitutions already available. Serena says, do you speak French? No. And in French, again, no. So, no, not really. I know enough French to watch a French person speaking clearly in a vlog, in a video, and understand what they're talking about. Yeah, but I can't duplicate it. I can't replicate it. I actually went to a French bakery. My wife was really interested in this French bakery in LA, in downtown LA. So we went there a few days ago. And I don't know why I'm talking about this. Someone talking about French stuff. So yeah, I was talking about it. It was really good. So before I was going there, I was like, what if they only speak French? How would I'll have to like practice my French from high school. What if they only speak French when I walk in the door? They'd be like, oh, bonjour, monsieur. And I'd be like, oh no. Je voudrais apprendre, acheter du pain, s'il vous plaît. Donnez-moi 2 baguettes et ici. Like, I don't know how to say it. Comme ça bien? Combien ça? Combien? Ça combien? Yeah. How much is it? Yeah. So, no, I don't speak French, to answer your question. The masala in this noodle, what is that? The masala. Masala? I'm sorry, I'm not very familiar with Indian food. Let's see. All right. We'll get started in just 2 minutes. See more people coming in. I still have the noodles up on my screen. Let me close that. It's like welcome to the Korean channel where you're going to learn Korean. Today we're going to be talking about Indonesian and Indian instant ramen packets that you probably have not tried before. I'm going to review the top 20 instant ramen packets in India. Yes. Georgia said, ever been to Greece? No. And I like the food though, but I've never been in Europe, anywhere in Europe. I've never touched the country of Europe before. Though I don't really have time. This channel is all of my time. I do 7 days a week from when I wake up, either at 6 o'clock, 7 or 8, whenever I wake up, or 9 some days. Today was 9. Until I go to bed. That's all I'm doing. 7 every day. So there's not really much time for me to take a vacation to Europe. Or it's also very expensive. Okay. Let's see. What about Spanish? No. I did Spanish for 1 semester in junior high, and just living in Southern California, we all know a little bit, really basic, like some phrases and stuff. You know, we all know the Yo Quiero Taco Bell commercials. We all know a lot of that basic stuff, but I can't say I speak any of it, even less than French. Okay, Luna, please don't ask other people to donate, though. I don't do that myself. Okay, let's see. We'll get started in just a minute. Kamiyu says, 빌리 선생님 안녕하세요. 저는 프랑스에서 인사드립니다. Nice. Bienvenue. I just want to thank you for making all your videos. They're so useful to me, especially on grammar. Makes it so fun to learn. Nice. Cool. Welcome. Ellie. Hey, Ellie. 안녕하세요, 빌리 선생님. 저는 한국에서 아침밥 하면서 인사드려요. 예, 아침 맛있게 드세요. 전 빌리 선생님은 정말 너무 좋아해요. Thanks. I know who you are. I know every, I guess I can confidently say I know of every single Korean teaching YouTuber. And I know yours as well. Stars Jam, welcome. Okay, yeah, we'll get started in just a few seconds. I guess it's almost 2 o'clock. We can start. Okay. Welcome to the lesson today. We've got a real advanced topic for all of you, and it's going to be fun. So before we get started though, I just want to say you really need these two for the prerequisites today. If you want to go the extra mile, if you know of these forms, it will be a little helpful in comprehending what we're doing today. But I'm not going to be teaching these today. I'm not going to be covering them. I have a separate lesson that teaches this form. I actually think I'm going to be uploading it this next Friday, so that's good timing. But I filmed it way back. I think last year I filmed it. Anyway, this is konyeong. It's another advanced form. If you know this, it'll help with using this form today a little bit, although it doesn't work the same way, doesn't have the same meaning, but it has a similar feel in some situations, which we'll talk about. As well as 다손치더라도, which is also similar to 더라도. So if you know this 더라도 form, you're going to be good for today's lesson. Okay. Let's just check the chat for a sec. Someone said, when are we going to have a Q&A? At the end of every lesson, we also do a short Q&A. We're going to be covering 2 advanced forms today, but you can actually understand both of them simply by learning one. So the first one we're going to do is, 망정. And the way you make it is actually pretty easy. You take a verb stem, and you either attach if it ends in a consonant, or a lir if it ends in a vowel. So if you have 하다, you get 할 망정, and if you have 먹다, you get 먹을망정. Isn't that easy? And I told you this was an advanced form. Why did I lie to you? No. Conjugation is the simplest part of using this form. Fortunately, I'll say fortunately, it's easy to conjugate. There's no tricks. Notice, though, there is no space. So it's written as one word. Keep that in mind. Okay. In addition, you can also use a past tense verb stem with this form. So what's the past tense verb stem? Well, when you conjugate a verb to the past tense and you reach these 2 letters at the bottom, that's the past tense verb stem. So 하다 becomes 해, past tense, 했어요, right? Well, the past tense verb stem is just that. As soon as you reach this, you're done. So 했, and then since it ends in a consonant, you'll attach 했을망정. That's all there is to it. I just wanted to show you it's a little flexible. You can use other tense verb stems if you want. So that's all there is to conjugating it. I tried to erase it without getting the line, but it was too close. So then what does this form mean? Well, it's actually just a strong way of saying even though or even if. So it's strong, sounds strong. Now, another way to say strong is emphatic. Before we start talking about this form, though, I need to explain something about how Korean and English are different. Everyone doing okay? Just make sure the chat's going still. Okay, got 89 people here, 89 advanced learners, I'm sure. Okay, something I need to talk about, though, before we get started is that the way Korean and English works is different. Now, of course, I'm not just saying that they have different grammar and vocabulary. You already know that. What I mean is the way that we express things in English is different than the way they express things in Korean. For example, specifically, in English, we tend to express different feelings, different thoughts by changing our sentences' intonation. I'll give you an example. Even though I don't want to go there, I know my parents will be sad if I don't. Okay, that's example 1. Here's example 2. Even though I don't want to go there, my parents would be sad if I don't. Okay, that's example 2. Here's example 3. Even though I don't want to go there, notice I'm changing just the intonation of words in sentences, right? It's the same sentence, but the feeling you get is slightly different from every sentence. Despite being the exact same words, we can emphasize different things. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. All of these are different meanings, right? Even though it's the same thing. Korean doesn't quite do that. Now, you can emphasize different things in Korean, just like in English. You can express that, but it's not typically done through intonation. It's not typically done through changing your emphasis on the words like we do in English. Instead, the way Korean creates more emphasis on something is most often by changing the grammar involved in a sentence. And I'm only going to give this example because I know there are some people watching who aren't quite at the level of this lesson. But for example, you can say, 저는 좋아해요. I like it. 좋아하기는 하는데 I like it. It's the same thing. On paper, I like it. I like it. But now we have a different intonation when you translate it because that's the feeling that this form conveys. And Korean does that all over the place. This grammar form we're learning today is another example of something that you don't need in order to express simply translating an English expression into a Korean expression. If you want to say even though or even if, you can use the regular 도 form, or perhaps 더라도. For example, 내가 가고 싶어도 못 가. Even though I want to go, I can't go. That's it. You're done. You don't need this form if you just want to express that. This form, though, has a different intonation, has a different feeling, despite expressing the same thing. So that's what I mean when I say it's stronger. It has more of a even though feeling to it. And I'll talk about that again throughout the lesson. I just wanted to give that quick introduction of how it works. When I say something sounds stronger, that's what I'm talking about. Even though versus even though. And these are the same words, but they have different feelings in English, right? Well, in Korean, that's the different feeling you're going to get when you use this form. Okay, so this form has the same overall meaning as just using the 도 ending. For example, you take a verb and you conjugate it first, and then you attach 도. So 하다 would become 해도. So even if you do, it also has a stronger feeling than saying 도라도. So 하더라도. So whether you do that, even if you do that, kind of like that. And it's even a little bit stronger than saying, this form is really not common, but it's some people have seen it. 파som 치더라도. So I just want to emphasize, this form is a strong, very strong sounding, even though, or even if grammar form. Okay, hopefully that clarifies some things. Now, although it has a stronger meaning than these forms, a stronger feeling, and although it has a general similar meaning as these forms too, the feeling is different. In that it is stronger. It sounds stronger than those forms. So, the way it works is this form is used for strongly expressing the speaker's thought or opinion about something. So you're strongly expressing your opinion. You know, even though, okay, you're strongly expressing your opinion on something. So you're just giving a strong opinion that you think, whatever, even though. That'll make more sense once I give you some example sentences. Okay, just gonna check here. Okay, just want to make sure everyone's still here in the chat. Sometimes the chat might be a little delayed. Okay, so then how can we make sense of this form? because I want to break it down so it'll make sense even to a beginner, although, you know, you might not be able to use it, but at least I want to make it make sense. Okay. So if we have a sentence here and we have A, whatever verb comes before this form, and then we have our form, 망정. So A, 망정, followed by B. So this is just a general form of a sentence. We haven't made a sentence here. We're just saying, let's say we have a verb before 망정, A, and then B is whatever comes after it, right? Well, what does this sentence mean? How can we understand it? I want you to write this down. I'm not going to write it down on the board because there's not much space. What it means is, actually, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm going to write it down because I think it's good to know. This is something I came up with to kind of convey the feeling you get when you use this. I'm going to write it down first. Actually, it could be if as well. Okay, this is what the form means. And I apologize for all of the parentheses and slashes in it. Okay, as in, all right, I accept that. All right, okay, fine. Even though A, okay, fine, A. And A is something negative. So A is something extreme or negative. Like A is really bad or, you know, something really extreme. So, okay, fine. Even though A, yeah, that's bad, okay. Even though B, strongly B. So if you want to condense that even further, you get the kind of feeling of, okay, A, B. That's the kind of feeling you get by using this form. Even though it just means even though or even if. You get a very strong feeling of expressing your opinion or expressing your thought. Okay, you can write this down if you want. It's something I came up with, so it's not going to be like linguistically waterproof here. But it does pretty much work. It does match the feeling of that. Before we go further, though, I should clarify. This form we're learning today actually has two separate uses. We're just covering the first usage right now. But the second usage isn't too far off of this first usage, actually. It actually kind of fits with this feeling as well, but we'll talk about that in a second. Hey, Token. Hey, Carrie. See a couple other people came in. Nice, nice. Okay, so let me give you one way that this sometimes translates as. Now, the feeling is this, the meaning is this, but sometimes the translation of this form is I would rather do A than B. Again, just to clarify, you're strongly expressing B. You're not just saying something. You're saying something strongly like, wah, like that. As in, your opinion on something, your thoughts on something. You're not just saying strongly, there's a chair. Like, okay, this chair is really expensive, but it's on sale. You're not just saying something is, you're expressing your opinion on something. So I should clarify that. Although you might think, well, that makes sense. You know, there's a chair, it's really expensive, but it's on sale. That's expressing it strongly on sale. No, it's for a thought or an opinion. You're not going to express just something like a fact, general facts like that. So it's kind of like saying, at least you can translate it this way sometimes as, I would rather do A than B. As in, A is something that's either negative or something extreme, like some extreme example. Wow. But I'd rather do that than B. B has this strong reaction. So like, I don't want to do that. I'd rather do this thing, which is already bad or really extreme, something. I'd rather do that than do this because of the way I'm expressing it. Like, Okay, let's just say, even if I'm going to like end up dying on a mountain someday, I just don't want to give up mountain climbing. Even though something, yeah, that's bad. Even though still this. So that's what you're saying. You can say, you know, even if I can't get into the school I wanted, it's negative, extreme. Maybe you'll still get into a good school, but it's a little extreme what you're saying. Even if I can't get into a school that I want, well, I guess I'm still not going to cheat. I'm still not going to cheat. So it's kind of like saying I would rather not get into that school, A, than cheat, right? This is the most common situation you'll see this used is when expressing something that says using be, I won't do something, or I don't want to do something, or someone else expresses that. I'm not going to do this. I would rather do that than do that. So that's the feeling of this form. Now, this is not the regular way to say I would rather do something. For that, there's a different grammar form. I actually already did a live stream about it, which is 느니, 하느니, something else. Like you could say, instead of cheating, 커닝을 하느니, 차라리, like whatever, I'd prefer to, like that. I did a live stream about that already if you want to learn. That's more of an intermediate form though, not an advanced form. And that's the regular way you'd say I'd rather do something than something else. Or there's a few other ways too. But no, this is a way to express that, but the meaning is not that. So the usage is different, although the translation can often be that. So it's typically used to express things like that, like, oh, I'd rather do that than do that. And both of them are kind of like, you know, undesirable because you're saying it's extreme or negative, and then you're making a strong expression of saying you don't want to do something or you do want to do something like that. Okay, I'm going to take a second just to let this sit up on the board for a second. I'm going to check the chat. Someone said I was just about to ask about 느니. Yeah, 느니 would be the more standard way to say it. You don't have to use 느니. You can also use 는 게 낫겠다, 는 것이 낫겠다, or 낫다, like that, which is basically saying it's preferable to do. 나는 거기 가는 것보다 차라리 그냥 뭐 안 가는 게 낫겠다. 안 갈래, or something. You can express it a few different ways as well. Like I'd rather not go there, but the direct I'd rather do this than that is the 느니 form. Hey, I got a new member. Nice. Elfu Yeo. Is that supposed to be like elf? I'm an elf. Elfu Yeo? I'm not sure. If that's your real name, I'm sorry. I'm not making fun of it. But okay, I was kind of making fun of it. But yeah, it just sounds like that. Welcome to Elfu Yeo for our new member. I think that's what it's supposed to be. Okay, so I'm going to clear this board. We're going to talk about it a little more, though. Don't worry. We're not done with the explanation of it. Let's give a sentence. Let me show you a sentence so you can see what this looks like. Someone said, this is too advanced. I'll stay and listen. Yes, stay a while and listen. Okay. 우리 식당은 ዀ망정 인기가 많아요. 우리 식당, so our restaurant. So, you know, our place here, the restaurant we have, 작다, to be small. So 작 망정. Even though our restaurant may be small. 인기가 많다, literally to have a lot of popularity. So to be really popular. Even though our restaurant may be small, it's really popular. Okay. So, okay. Remember, let's look at our translation again. Okay, I accept this. Even though our restaurant may be small, okay, I'll give you that. This is the kind of feeling we get. I'll give you that. That's something negative, right? It's small, negative or extreme. In this case, it's negative. Still, I'm going to strongly express my opinion that 인기가 많아요. Still, despite our restaurant, sure, yeah, maybe our restaurant's a bit small, but it's really popular. 우리 식당은 ዣ글망정 인기가 많아요. 우리 식당은 ዣ글망정 인기가 많아요. We're doing okay. Okay, read this over a few times. Let it sink in. Does this make sense? That's the most important thing, right? Hawa says, this seems like something I'd use in an argument. You would. Yeah. The reason some of these advanced grammar forms, what makes them advanced is not conjugating it, right? That's the easiest conjugation in the world, next to the future tense or something. Anyone can conjugate that. The reason it's advanced is because it doesn't translate necessarily differently than other forms you've heard. If this was the first form you learned, and I said it means even though and even if you just learned that it meant even if and even though, you're done, right? Even though a restaurant's small, it's popular. Wow, you got it. Wow. That's not what makes this form advanced though, right? As I've showed you, it shows a different feeling than simply saying even though. Because again, it's used for expressing your opinion on something, your thoughts. You're not just saying something is. Like even though our restaurant is small, it's not expensive. Like that doesn't really flow. That doesn't make any sense. Why are you expressing your opinion on something strongly? It's not expensive when all you're saying is the restaurant's small, right? So in that case, it's not simply an even though and even if form, right? Because you can't just use it with any sentence where you'd say even though or even if. You could make the sentence, 우리 식당은 작아도 초록색이에요. Even though our restaurant is small, it's green. And in some contexts, that could work, right? Maybe someone said, I'm always looking for a green restaurant to purchase for my investment opportunities. I wonder if there's a good, appropriate green restaurant around here. You could say, 우리 식당은 좀 작아도 초록색이에요. 초록색은 맞아요. Yeah, it is green. And then the investor's like, wow, that's perfect for me. And you're Korean. Wow, your Korean sounds so good. Ha ha ha. You cannot say 우리 식당은 ዣ글망정 초록색이에요. It doesn't make any sense. Why are you expressing even though it is with a strong opinion if you're just saying it's green, right? So in that case, in that sort of usage, that's what makes this an advanced form, is that you can't simply translate it as even though or even if. You can't translate it as even if either. You have to understand that it has a stronger meaning to that. Therefore, it's limited in how you can use it. And like one user in the chat said, which I thought was great, I might use this when arguing. Someone said, yes, you could use this when you're arguing. You're saying, hey, even if you have a lot of money, there's no way I'm marrying you. You can say it as in telling someone to stop. 돈이 많을망정. 난 절대로 결혼 안 할 거야. 너랑 절대로 결혼 안 할 거야. You could say something like that. Like, no matter, I guess even if you say you're going to give, 나한테 돈을 많이 주겠다고 할 망정. Even if you say you're going to give me lots of money, I'm never going to marry you. Like, you can express something like that. And in that case, it's not something negative, but it's something extreme, right? It has to be one or the other. It's not going to be, it doesn't always have to be something bad, but it's something a bit extreme, like, wow. So you're saying, I'd rather not marry you than get a lot of money, in that sort of sense. Hopefully that makes sense. I know that I'm kind of talking over beginners if you haven't learned this form, so I apologize. I'm trying to make it as clear as possible, but I just want to, at least I want it to be clear that this form has a completely different meaning than simply even though or even if. Because if you translate it that way, you will misuse it a lot. So keep in mind, it is a strong opinion, strong thought, despite of, or even though, something that you acknowledge, right? You're saying, okay, even though I acknowledge that, I accept it, even though, still is what you're saying. Hopefully that makes sense. Brad W, yeah, use 비록. 비록 can be used as well for additional emphasis. You don't have to. Okay. The even thiff. Even thiff. Yeah. I've got a lisp, I guess. I don't know why. Sometimes I'm thinking of what to say sometimes a sentence ahead of what I'm saying. And yeah, sometimes strange stuff comes out like that. But anyway, and we also could do a lesson about pirok, like chirado and stuff. That's another form. I think I might add that to the next live stream because it's another one you can also use to have an even feeling, but it doesn't have the same even feeling as this. Each one's a little different. Carrie, the nendedo would simply be the to form with the nende. So it really isn't. It's not anything special. It's simply nende, and despite of that, that's what it means. So that would not be comparable with this, except that it means even though or even if. I swear I'm not doing it on purpose. Even though it has the same meaning in English, it has nothing to do with expressing a strong opinion about something. Bora Ghoul, do not even understand why this is advanced. We've only done one. I told you there are two different uses for this form. In fact, this is a great live stream. Thanks. I don't talk like that, okay? I'm not making fun of anyone. That's just how that was just my mistake trying to talk. Okay, so let's go on. 우리 식당은 why do I have a weird intonation? 우리 식당은 잦을망정 인기가 많아요. Something I can give you. No, I think I'll try to think if I can think of a sentence to give you, but not this one. Okay. Actually, I want you to try translating this one. I couldn't give you the sentence to create, but I can still give it to you to translate. 산에서 죽을 망정 등산을 그만두고 싶지 않아요. How would you translate this sentence? I want you to think about it. How Kabir? It almost sounds dismissive. It could be. But I kind of explained that when I said how it works. You're saying, okay, I admit, I agree that, blah, 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 even if, like that. So yeah, in that way, it could be used for dismissive arguments. It doesn't have to be only, though, with that. Like, you could use it when you're arguing with someone. You could use it if you're dismissing something. You could use it if you're angry. You could do it if you're happy. Like, it doesn't really matter. You can use it in a lot of different ways, but it does have that feeling as well. It can have that feeling of being dismissive. Yeah, Brad W, nice. Indong Park, nice. Just reading everyone else's. Yeah, Joshua, I like that you added that. Like, I'm aware that... No, it's not so much that I could die, but yeah, sure. I'm aware that, like, you're accepting what comes before it. So you're saying, yeah, I guess so, but still. And this something is extreme or extreme or negative. In this case, it's negative and extreme. Saying you're going to die is both negative and extreme. It's like, yeah, you're probably not going to unless you're doing really crazy mountain climbing, right? Where you're like hanging upside down like Tom Cruise in the first Mission Impossible movie. Was that the second one? Maybe it was the second Mission Impossible movie. Where I don't know why he was climbing the mountain just to put on a pair of sunglasses. That makes no sense. Seriously. They could just every other movie, they just FedEx him the glasses. But in this one, he's climbing up to the top of a mountain for no reason. Anyway, like that. 산에서 죽을 망정, 등산을 그만두고 싶지 않아요. So, the first part, 산에서 죽다, to die on a mountain. So, yeah. 죽을 망정. So, okay. I accept, I agree, I might. You know, I could. Sure, I could die on a mountain. But even though, sure, I could die on a mountain. 등산. So, 등산 is both mountain climbing or just regular hiking. So just be aware it's both of those. If you hear someone is a fan of 등산, it probably just means they like walking around their neighborhood in the hilly areas. Doesn't really mean they do like extreme mountain climbing, like going up like Mount Everest or anything. It's really just like, it's both. So mountain climbing, in this case it's mountain climbing. 그만두다 is to quit. So I don't want to quit mountain climbing. That's my strong opinion. My thought is, I don't want to quit mountain climbing. Even if I die on the mountain, still, I don't want to quit mountain climbing. Don't make me quit mountain climbing. So, you can also kind of turn it around when you translate it. You could say, I would rather die on a mountain than quit mountain climbing. You can translate it like that. And I think that it's okay to translate it as rather, because it does kind of convey the strong expressive feel that this form has. That if you say, I would rather do this than this, and it still sounds okay, well then maybe your sentence is correct using this form, because it does have a strong meaning. Just keep in mind that rather is not really in this grammar form. It's just a way to translate it that still sounds natural. 산에서 죽을 망정, 등산을 그만두고 싶지 않아요. Even if I die on a mountain, I don't want to give up. I don't want to give up mountain climbing. Okay, let's go to the next sentence. I've never done mountain climbing before. I've done hiking up a mountain. Sure. I hiked up Mount Fuji before from the very bottom. And I would like to hike Hallasan, so Mount Halla in Jeju Island. Like to do that someday as well. I heard that's pretty fun too. I just have to go when the weather's good. Whenever I'm there, it's always like way too hot. Let's do Okay, let's check here. Okay. 꼴찌를 할 망정, 컨닝은 하지 않겠어요. 꼴찌 is last place. So, last. 꼴찌를 하다 is to come in last, to get last place. So, 꼴찌를 할 망정. So, okay. All right, I accept it. I'm going to get last place. I know, I accept it. But even still, even if that happens, I feel strongly about this next thing I'm going to say. Cunning is cheating. 컨닝은 하지 않겠어요. I wouldn't cheat. It has that feeling of cheat because we're using the topic marker here. So it's emphasizing it. So, okay, yeah, I accept it, sure. Even if I get last, though, I'm not going to cheat. I would rather get last than cheat. That's kind of the feeling you get. 꼴찌를 할 망정, 컨닝은 하지 않겠어요. So I wouldn't cheat. Even if that means that I get last. 꼴찌를 할 망정, 컨닝은 하지 않겠어요. 꼴찌를 할 망정, 컨닝은 하지 않겠어요. Even if I come in last, I'm not going to cheat. Okay. If this is a really common way to use the 망정 form, and it actually is the most common way you're going to see it used. Even though Okay, yes, sure, maybe. Even though, still, this is what I think. Even that's how it's going to be used most of the time. But there is a second usage of this. There is another usage of this form we still have to talk about. Here we go. And it might not seem, it might not make sense at first if you've only been thinking of the first usage. This same grammar form has a second use, which is to say someone does something that is surprisingly opposite from what was expected. So, the way that it conjugates is the same. For example, 하다 would still become 할 망정, the end. But now it's used in a different form. Now, in order to mean this, let me see if I need to do anything. Okay. To give you a comparison, like to give you a grammar form comparison, this usage here is kind of like saying 지 않고. So you have A, which is the verb, 지 않고. So like 하다 would be 하지 않고 B. So if we do this, A, someone, they do something, 하다, 하지 않고. So they don't do something. All right, let's look at it this way. 하다. So 하지 않고 something something 했다. So someone doesn't do something, but does something else. This is just a regular flat way to express someone doesn't do something, but does something else. So that's how this form works in general. 하지 않고 B. So they don't do that, but instead they do this. This form is used to express not only does someone do something, but it's surprisingly opposite from what was expected. So it's kind of like saying they don't do this, but surprisingly they do this. So that's what this form can express. I just wanted to give a comparison so you can kind of grammatically help it to make sense. Or, although it kind of works like this grammatically, it has a different feeling. So the feeling it has is kind of actually more like 기는 커녕. Now, I'm not saying it's comparable to this form. I'm not saying this form is the same as this form. But if we have here, 하다, 하기는 커녕 B. 커녕 is another grammar form. We're not going to be covering it today. I've actually covered it briefly in a live stream already, as well as next Friday's Learn Korean episode, the one where, me and Kikat do stuff together. That one is all about 커녕, so you'll get to learn about it. 커녕 is basically, hey, forget this. Like, this is not even going to happen, but this really is not going to happen. That's sort of like, in English, we might say like, forget that. Like, I can't even do this, right? That sort of, don't even think about that. Like, let alone this, that sort of feeling is what this form has, 커녕. So it doesn't have that same feeling, but it does have a similar general usage grammatically to these two forms. So you're saying someone does something, but it's not that, but it's completely different. It's very different than what was expected. And that's what these forms can kind of do as well. So if you don't want to learn today's form, you can substitute it with these, although they have different meanings, different feelings, but they still work as substitutions in a lot of cases. So I just want to present you two alternatives. And if you already know this form, that might make a little more sense once you see a sentence. Let's see, am I missing anything? Okay, so just a similar usage in these. All right, so when it's used for this second meaning, it's also used in a different form. So it's not going to be used in the same way. Instead of 할 망정, although it is conjugated the same way, it's only used with the verb 못하다. Specifically as this. 못할망정. 못할망정. So you have two options. There are only two ways that you can use this. One is with an action verb stem followed by 지. So you get 지 못하다, which is can't. So 하지 못하다 would become 하지 못할 망정. Or option B is you can use a noun followed by the topic marker, 은 or 는, and then 못할 망정. So noun, topic marker, 못할 망정. So this is the way the form will be conjugated whenever it's being used to mean this. So someone does something, but it's completely different, very surprisingly, than what was expected. When I give you an example sentence, this will make a little more sense, but I did want to write this down, so take notes about this, and then when you look at the first sentence, it'll make a little more sense. So whatever comes after this form will be what was not expected, what was surprising to you. And it'll often get used together with adverbs or grammar forms that express something wasn't expected. One common adverb you'll see it used with is the adverb 오히려. 오히려 is just an adverb that means contrary to what one expected, or rather. So they didn't do this, but rather they did that. Or they didn't do this, but surprisingly, contrary to what I expected, they did something else. So that's commonly used with this form. It doesn't have to be, though. This is not a requirement. You can make the sentence with or without it. But it's commonly used with it. Let's see. So let's take a look at an example then of what this would mean. If we have a sentence with A and B. So if we have A, sorry, I wrote this messy. Okay. If you have A, 못할 망정, B, you get the meaning of someone doesn't do A. And I was expecting that they would do A. But someone doesn't do A. I thought they would. They didn't. Instead, though, they do B. So it surprised me. I didn't expect it. I was expecting A, but no, B. That's what this form means when it's used with this form, 못할 망정. So it has a second usage that's different than saying even though. So you're not just saying, yeah, okay, fine, even though A, yeah. B. No, this time you're saying someone doesn't do A, but instead they do B. And that surprised me. I didn't expect that. I was expecting them to do A, but they didn't. Instead, they did B. So they were doing this, but they did this. So you kind of get that different intonation. You're saying they didn't do that, but instead did this. You get that different intonation feeling when you're using this form. Let me just give you an example sentence. I think this will make a little more sense when I write up an example. Take 30 seconds, though, and write this down. I'll leave it up for just a second and check any comments. So if you have any comments, now's a good time to leave them. Hey, Alexia, mountain climbing vlog with Billy. Yes, if I go to Jeju, the island of Jeju, I'm going to hike Hallasan, and I'll make a video about that. Do 43. How am I in time? I'm kind of a little bit behind, but not too bad. Just 5 minutes. Okay. Avion Paris says, are your backgrounds determined by the live stream lesson? Usually no. They don't have anything to do with the live stream lesson. Today, oh yeah, I didn't even introduce my background today. Today I am at I'm in like one of the temples. I can't remember where I'm at. I think it's on southwest of Korea, so I've never been here before. But it just looked nice. I thought it'd be a nice place to do a live stream from. Okay, let's do an example sentence. Everything makes more sense when you see it used in example sentences, but it's still important to know how it's used. So, you know what? This one I'm going to give to you. This one I'm going to give to you. 철수 didn't help me. Why did I write L and P together? But rather made fun of me. Now for this one, you do want to use the verb, the adverb, 오히려, to say rather. But you don't have to. You can keep it out if you don't want. And made fun of to make fun of someone is 놀리다. To make fun of. So 철수 didn't help me, but rather he made fun of me. So I thought 철수 would help me, but he didn't. Instead, he's just making fun of me. I want you to make this sentence. Again, keep in mind the way that I said it's conjugated. Again, it's conjugated the same way, but what I said it's used with. How would you say this? I think I've been to that temple. I kind of recognize it, but I went to tons. I thought I had two, but there is a similar one that looks like this that I went to, but not this one. There was another one that was in the kind of southeast, like the eastern side of Korea that I did go to that looks a lot like this, but it's not the same one. So yeah, really, there are so many different little like temples or places that you can visit. Not just like their temples for what do you call it? Confucianists or whatever, but also like you can go to like the old schools, like they'll have some like Buddhist schools that you can still visit and they also look cool, like these types of places. There's just a lot of cool places you can go to, but a lot of them, in some ways, a lot of them will look similar. Like if you see a building, you're like, oh, I've been there before. Oh, no, I haven't. It's a totally different one. So some of them will look similar, but they might have different layouts or like a different statue in it that the other ones don't have. Okay, I'm just going to read your sentences here. I'm just reading them in my head because I don't think I can go through all of them. 철수는 도와주지 못할 망정 오히려 놀렸네요. 철수는 도와주지 못할 망정 오히려 놀렸어. Okay. Nice. And don't be scared of getting it wrong. Don't be scared of messing it up. As long as you're following the general conjugation rules and how it is used. Don't be too afraid of trying, at least. I'll show you the answer anyway. So whether you get it right and you get the answer right, great. Or you get it wrong and you learn something, great. Either way is okay. Don't be afraid of trying something, even if you think you don't know it 100%. Tarsu, you would, well, okay, what the sentence you have would be incorrect because you would put Billy in the beginning, like instead of helping Billy, he made fun of him. That would be okay. But having Billy at the end is kind of awkward because I'm not sure who you're helping, but then making fun of Billy. Stars Gem. Nice. You might want to add in didn't help me, some sort of me, but if you don't have that, then it just means didn't help, but rather made fun of, we don't know who, without any context. So with context, that's fine. Someone said, did Charsu help you? You're like, oh no, he didn't help, but rather made fun of. And then it makes sense they're talking about you. But without any context, you need to have that object there, me. Christopher Fox deleted too many typos. Nice. Sometimes I want to delete if I make lots of typos too. Nice. 첼시가 저를 도와주지 못할 반경 오히려 저를 놀렸어요. Okay? You wouldn't need to use 저를 twice, but it's fine. Nice. 철. Someone just wrote 철. That sentence, that is the most accurate sentence in all of these. Jan Eastel wrote 철. That encompasses the whole sentence. Perfect. Don't change it. Keep it. Okay, let me give you the answer. Well, one answer. Again, as you go up in Korean levels, there are going to be dozens of ways to say the same thing. Just like in English. So it's like didn't help. So you have that extra emphasis on help with adding the topic marker here. 오히려 놀렸어요. Okay, so again, we have this sentence structure that means someone doesn't do A. And I was expecting someone to do A. But instead, they did B, the second part of the sentence. And that was surprising. So here, 철수는 나를 도와주지는 못할 망정. So A, I was expecting 철수 would help me, but he didn't help me. Instead, what he did that surprised me was, 오히려, rather, what he did was, 놀리다, made fun of me, 놀렸어요. So 철수 didn't help me, but rather just made fun of me. I was expecting 철수 to help me, right? But no, he just made fun of me. That's kind of the feeling you get in the sentence. 철수는 나를 도와주지는 못할 망정, 오히려 놀렸어요. So not only did 철수 not help me, but he was making fun of me. That sort of meaning. Let's do another sentence. Oops, sorry. I could change it to 하지 못할, but let's do 칭찬은. So here is with a noun. 혼을 내다 is the same as 혼내다, so to get mad at, to scold, basically. 그 부모는 애한테 칭찬은 못할 망정 혼을 냈어요. This sentence actually is one that might be that you could compare to the 기는커녕 form. 칭찬하기는커녕 혼을 냈어요. If you already knew that form. If you don't, then never. You can ignore what I just said. But it has a comparative kind of feeling to the form. 그 부모는, so that parent, 애한테, to their kid, 칭찬은, so compliments, 칭찬은 못할 망정. So it's kind of like if you say with 커녕, it's like forget complimenting the kid. They didn't do that. Rather, what they did was, so I was expecting that the parents would compliment the kid. A. But no, what actually happened that surprised me was B. 혼을 냈어요. They scolded them. 그 부모는 애한테 칭찬은 못할 망정 혼을 냈어요. The parent didn't compliment the kid, but rather, they got mad at them instead. So they scolded their kid instead. 그 부모는 애한테 칭찬은 못할 망정 혼을 냈어요. So again, we have A. I was expecting that someone would do A. So I was expecting that the parent was going to compliment their kid. But no, what actually happened rather was that they scolded their kid. Yeah, you didn't do a good job. I was thinking they'd compliment their kid, right? But no, they scolded their kid. So it's kind of like I was thinking they were going to do this, but no, actually what happened was, so this kind of feeling you get. Is this the same as the even though or even if form that we had? Let's take a look at it for a second. Okay, even though, even if they compliment their kid, they don't compliment their kid, they got mad? No, it doesn't really fit with the even though or even if meaning that we had before. It's a different usage. So just keep in mind, these are separate uses of the same form. See who else is here. Oh, you don't need past tense unless you need to be emphatic about it for some reason. Like not only had they not complimented their kid, that sort of thing. Like in that situation, it would have been the past. You could, but it's not necessary. So no, regular conjugation's fine. And plus, when you use this form, specifically, I'm sorry, I was half answering your question in general for 망정, but when you're using this form to mean someone did something opposite, no, it's going to be 못할 망정, not 못했을 망정. It's going to be 못할 망정, exactly like that. So when it's used for this, no, it would be present. When you use it as the regular form, you could use past tense, though you don't need to, unless you need to emphasize again, like, no, past had done that sort of meaning. Most of the time in Korean, you don't need to do that. In English, we do every time. In Korean, you only do that double past tense for like verb stems when it's necessary to emphasize that, no, it was, but not anymore. So, yeah. Julia Angela said, you always add... No, what I said is that... Oh, I think you probably came in late. I explained how it's used with either the 지 못하다 form or noun plus topic marker 못하다. So either one. Avion says it sounds a bit like sarcasm or contrast. Yeah. Could be used to emphatically express sarcasm. Like, no, like they didn't compliment their kid. They got mad at them. In that way, it could be. And if you're picking up on these feelings, I would say give yourself a pat on the back, because the important part about this form isn't just how it works grammatically. Anyone can learn that this form means this. It's understanding the feeling, because that allows you to use it later yourself and understand if someone uses it to you, you'll get, why did they use that form instead of just saying a different form that can also mean either though. You get that feeling of, like, I thought they'd compliment their kids, but no, they made fun of them. Not made fun of, that was the last sentence. But no, they scolded them. I was totally expecting they would compliment, but no. So you get that feeling of kind of like, but no, in the sentence when you use this form. Okay, let's do one more. So I think like, I was expecting that, but no, can sometimes be another way you can translate this form, how it feels. So here's our next sentence. Let's do this again. Okay, try to translate the sentence on your own. I'll give you a few terms quick. 선수 would be a player, sports player. 위로하다 is to comfort. 비난하다 would be to criticize. Let me check. I think that's a good way to translate it. Yeah, criticize. Or blame, I guess, but criticize works. 사람들은 그 선수를 위로해주지는 못할 망정 비난하기 시작했어요. So how would you translate this sentence now? Someone said I had uta on the board. What was it? Oh, did I have it saying te? I wouldn't have ever spelled it like that. It's probably because I put the line, like I just tried to do it like that. It's probably because I put this line and then put it too close to here. But yeah, it's supposed to be this. I was like, I would never write that, but okay. Yeah, it's possible I had a typo there. I'll fix it in the edit later on if it was. Nice, Bonnie. Let's use Google Translate? No, do not use Google Translate. At least use Papago. If you're going to use something, at least let it be Papago. At least that's the best of the worst. Serena, nice. I like that you added in. I expected. I like that. Although you don't have to when you translate it, but if you understand it that way, you get kind of the feeling. So you kind of get the feeling of like, not only did they not, but what they did was, even though there's not really that meaning of like not only did, that's kind of what you get. I figured. Nice, Joshua. I like that. Nice. 그 남자는 나한테 인사는 못할 망정 그냥 지나갔어. Okay. Wait, why'd you delete it? Why'd you delete your sentence? So I thought that guy would, introduce himself, but he just passed by. Like, I guess so if like someone's staring at you, like walking right up to you, they're like, and then they just keep walking by. Sure. I like it. I like if you try making your own sentences. Just be careful when you do. Try to keep in mind that you're not just translating the words even though or I thought into English, because if you do that, you'll make the weirdest sentences that won't make any sense. Try to keep in mind the usage of this. But that was good, not bad. Okay, so 사람들은, the people, 그 선수, that player, the sports player, 위로하다, to comfort, 위로해 주지는 못할 망정. So I thought that the people would be comforting the player, that they'd say, hey, it's okay. I thought that they'd comfort the player, but no, what actually happened was 비난하다 is to criticize or blame. 비난하기 시작했어요. They started blaming the player. They started criticizing him or her. So I thought that they would be comforting the player, but no, they were starting to criticize them. So I think that, but no, can kind of convey a bit of the similar feeling that you can get from this form. 사람들은 그 선수를 위로해 주지는 못할 망정 비난하기 시작했어요. So no, I mean, I thought that they'd be comforting the player, but no, they're just starting to criticize them. So that's the feeling you get. Okay. Putting a note here. So, is there any way we can combine these two uses of the form? Like, even though, right? Like, even though, okay, sure. Even though, strongly this. And then our second meaning, I expected they'd do this, but no, this happened. Is there any way we can kind of combine these together? Can you think of any ways? I don't know, I'm just asking. Or are these really completely 100% separate? Is there nothing connecting these two together? I don't know. They kind of have a similar, they kind of have some similarities a little bit, but they do have completely different uses. I guess the best I could come up with is something like this. Okay. A, right? But B. This kind of works for both of the forms. For our first form, now, this is not for how you can translate it. This is only just to kind of a tip to help you maybe remember in case you completely forget this form. Okay, so let's look at our first form. So even though, like, yeah, okay, all right, sure, even if that happens, still B. So, okay, yeah, even if, yeah, okay, A. Okay, so I'm going to die on a mountain. Okay, A. But B, I'm not going to quit mountain climbing. Okay, kind of works. Our second form, I expected A. Like, right, I expected A, right? But no, B. So you get, okay, A. People compliment the player, right? Okay, but no, B. So this is very loose. This doesn't really encompass both of the meanings. I tried to come up with something that can encompass both. This is the closest I can get because they do have different uses and different meanings. But I just wanted to show you that they're not 100% different. They do kind of have that both feeling of something, something, but B. Like, yeah, something, but B. They both kind of have that feeling of something, yeah, A, but B, right? Just keep that in mind, just kind of to help you as like a little tip. All right, so we're not done. There is one more form. We've only been doing 망정, but there's a whole nother form you can also use. Now the way it works is the same as 망정, but it looks a little different. Ժ언정. So, if you are using a verb stem that ends with a consonant, you will attach 짖언정. If not, it'll be 릴언정. Sorry, 릴지언정. So it'll end in 지언정. So if you have 하다, you'll get 할지언정. And if you have 먹다, you get 먹을지언정. That's really long, isn't it? Versus before we just had 먹을망정. Now there's an extra syllable in here. It's long. 할지언정. Does anyone know what this form means? This form has the same meaning and the same usage as 망정, which we just learned. Just looking at the chat for a second. Bora says, I think this form must always end with neo. Nope, does not. The reason is neo is specifically used for spoken Korean only. I mean, you could use it in writing, but it's spoken writing. For expressing surprise at something. Wow, something happened. This form is not a spoken only form. You can use it in writing too. So no, I would say it doesn't. And in fact, it tends to not get used in those situations. It tends to get used more of a strong way of expressing seriously. I expected that, but no. Whereas neo is like, hey, ho ho, wow, that's cool. Hey, it's better than I expected. That sort of feeling. More of a colloquial feeling when using neo. So you could put it in neo, but it doesn't need to. Okay, so this has the same usage and meaning as 망정. What's the difference? What's the difference? This form sounds slightly stronger than 망정. So if you say 할망정 or 할지언정, they have the same meaning, the same use, but 할지언정 sounds stronger. Even if. So which one's more common? I would guess that Ł지언정 gets used more often. because it's stronger. And this one already expresses a strong emotion. You're already expressing your strong opinion about something in the first place. Might as well go all the way. Might as well make it as strong as you can if you're there anyway. If there is a native speaker listening right now, what's your opinion? Which one's more common? I guess Ł지언정 is more common, but I'm not sure. I would like a native's opinion, what they think. Julia said, isn't neo used to sound more friendly? No, it could be used in more friendly speech. You wouldn't use it in typically formal, like more serious speech. So no, I would say it relatively it's more friendly than formal speech, but it's not used to sound more friendly. It's used to express surprise. I don't know if there's still a native watching. I don't know if Ellie is still watching. If someone's watching, let me know which one's more common. I think it's fine to use either one though. So it has the same meaning, it's just a little bit stronger, even so more than 망정. And I'm going to do one example sentence of this. I'm going to erase this. I'm going to do an example sentence. But you don't need any extra explanation because it works the same way. Okay. 버스를 15시간을 탈지언정 비행기를 탈 수는 없어요. 버스를 15시간. So the bus, 15 hours, 타다. So to ride the bus 15 hours, 탈지언정. So this is our first meaning. Let's just say, okay, all right, fine. Let's just say even if I'm riding the bus for like 15 hours, right? Even though I may ride it for 15 hours, or even if I do that, okay? Sure, fine. Still, B. 비행기를 탈 수는 없어요. 비행기를 타다, to ride an airplane. Fly in an airplane. I can't fly in an airplane. Even if I gotta take a bus for 15 hours, I just can't fly an airplane. I would rather take a bus for 15 hours than fly in an airplane. 버스를 15시간을 탈지언정. So, yeah, even if I ride the bus 15 hours. 버스를 15시간을 탈지언정 비행기를 탈 수는 없어요. Did I say 탈지? 탈지언정, not 탈지. Sorry. 버스를 15시간을 탈지언정 비행기를 탈 수는 없어요. Barry Eam. Oh, Barry Eam, are you a native speaker? If you're native, I'm curious on your opinion. Let me check. I'm going to guess you are because your channel says, let's see. Can I see your message? Can I find you on YouTube? Are you here on YouTube? No? Or are you just someone learning Korean? So, try to find your channel real quick. Hold on. Yeah, okay, I found you. Here you are. Okay, you have like a few, you started a few days ago. Okay, never mind. I can't tell. If you're a native, would you say Ł지언정 more or 망정 more? Dexter says, can we use pa in this case? No, I did I am really newbie. Okay, sorry, never mind. Can we use pa in this case? No, pa is simply for a rather. I would rather do this than this. And this form doesn't actually say you're preferring to do something. The pae or paeya form, like that, like I'd rather do something, 할바, like I'd rather do that than this, is expressing you do want to do something, Whereas this is not expressing that. You're simply saying something. You're expressing even if something be. So it could translate the same. Rather than this, I would do this. Sure, you could say 탈 바에 rather than ride it. But then you would have to say, you would actually say rather than ride the airplane, I would take a bus for 15 hours. You have to switch the sentence around if you're going to use 파. And I did a live stream all about that as well. 파 is another advanced form. It's simple to use, but advanced in that it has at least three completely separate uses. But you can watch the live stream about that. But no, it wouldn't work. It's not interchangeable with 파. M Star says, I like to remind myself that, no, not to translate too literally. Yes, because if you translate literally, you're going to wonder, well, then what's the difference between this form and other form that conjugates completely differently or expresses something completely differently simply because it has the same meaning in English? I guess a common example is the word like, and or but. There are going to be at least 15 forms I can think of off the top of my head. I was just thinking yesterday, at least 15 off the top of my head that can translate as but. All different. They all express different feelings. They're all used in different situations. They all have different restrictions. Like one is only used in conversation. The other one's only used in writing. This one's only used when it's a negative thing. This one's only used or because. Because has so many too. Actually, I think it was because I was thinking of, but still has a lot as well though. At least a dozen. Because has tons. They all mean because, but they're all different. So don't translate literally because you're going to get stuck on that sort of stuff. Again, with this one, even though you could translate it as I would rather, it doesn't mean I would rather. You're not, in English, saying I would rather is expressing I want to do that. You might be saying I don't want both, but I'll pick this one if I have to, right? That's rather. This is not expressing any sort of thing like that. You're not saying I want to do either. There's no desire of, even if it's bad, I want to do that. You're not saying that. You're simply saying, well, let's say, even if I have to ride a 15-hour bus, I don't want to do that. I'm not taking an airplane. You're saying no to everything. It's different than saying, I don't want that, but sure, I'll take that if I have to. It's a different expression, different meaning. And if you try to think, what's the difference between these forms? Well, you're forgetting that it's more of the feeling instead of just the literal translation. And that's part of what makes advanced grammar advanced, is that you don't need it simply to translate something from English to Korean. If you want to say, I'd rather take a bus for 15 hours than ride a plane, that's all you want to say, you don't need this form. You can just say, 비행기를 타느니 차라리 버스를 15시간이나 타겠다. I'd rather just take the bus for 15 hours than ride an airplane. You can just say it like that. And that's a regular intermediate form. You don't need this advanced form to say 버스를 15시간을 탈지언정 비행기를 탈 수는 없어요. This is like saying, even if it means I have to ride the bus for 15 hours, I'm not going to take an airplane. I can't take an airplane. Kind of like that. So different feeling, even though the translation might be similar. Hopefully that kind of helps clear it up a bit. I know I don't do too many advanced live streams. It just depends when people recommend them, request them. But hopefully this kind of helped to make sense of these forms. I know that they're advanced. And again, if you're a beginner watching, you do not need to use this form. But if you can recognize it, it's not going to hurt. Just don't push yourself to try to be able to use it, because it is, like I said, it has that specific usage of saying okay, yeah, sure, but be. It has a different usage than simply saying even though and even if. So I would focus first on the regular ways to say even if, which would be the 도 form or maybe 더라도, if you want to say that. Okay. 버스를 15시간을 탈지언정 비행기를 탈 수는 없어요. So even if I ride a bus for 15 hours, I won't or I can't ride an airplane. All right, that was our lesson for today. Feel free to ask any questions you have, whether they are related to the lesson or not. I will now take questions for the next 10 minutes, and then we'll stop the live stream today. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I hope that this form made a little bit more sense after today. I know it's not very beginner friendly, unlike some of the other forms we've done. Oh, Barry Im. I was wondering which one you feel is more common. 사람들이 어떤 거를 더 자주 쓰는지. 궁금한 거예요. 지언정을 더 자주 쓰는지 망정을 더 자주 쓰는지 저는 제 생각에는 지언정을 더 자주 쓰게 될 것 같은데 저도 잘 몰라요, 사실. 뭐를 더 자주 쓸지. I don't know. Let's see. Dexter says we need more advanced streams. Well, all of these streams are suggested by members. So if you have a live stream you'd like to learn and you're a channel member, so your name's in green, leave a request. You can send it to me on Discord. You can message it to me there. You can just post it and tag me in Discord or comment on a YouTube video if you'd like to see it. And that's where I get all of these ideas. This was also suggested by a member who wanted to know about these two forms. And to be honest, I don't use this form very much. Like maybe I've used it like once. I've heard it a few times, but it's not the most common way to say even though. It really does have that specific use. Like even though it does mean even though, it does have that usage of, you know, even still, I'm not going to do this. That sort of usage commonly. Barium's like, 거의 비슷해요. Yeah. I don't know, really. So which one you need more is what I was trying to figure out. Yeah. Barium says they have a negative feeling like I'm not going to do that, even if some alternate ways. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be. Like, for example, the very first example, 우리 식당은 잦을망정 인기가 많아요. You don't have to use it to say I won't do something. But if you paid attention to our other example sentences, they were. The other 5 examples of this form to mean like even though were all expressing I'm not going to do something. So we had I'm not going to quit mountain climbing. I'm not going to cheat. I'm not going to ride an airplane, right? So it is used for that. Even like it doesn't have to be, but it tends to get used to express. I guess let me add this to the lesson. So keep in mind then that this form, although it doesn't have to be, it tends to be used to express even though I'm not going to do something or I don't want to do something. So that's how it most often gets used. But it doesn't have to be, but it most often gets used that way. So if you're wondering, should I use this form and you want to express that, you have a higher chance of making a sentence that sounds natural. Not just that makes sense, but that a Korean would listen to and say, wow, that sounds really natural. Hold on, we got a new member. MNM, Twix. I want to eat a Twix. Twix sounds good. Twix. I was going to write Twix. Silly member. Twix. Oh, that's Trix. Never mind. Welcome. Thanks for joining. Okay. Avion Paris. What is the least amount of time I can dedicate to Korean learning? You'll learn as much as you put into it. You only get out of learning Korean what you put into it. And when you see people who learn really fast, or you see someone on TikTok and they have like fluent Korean and they said they've been studying for 2 years, right? You can't compare yourself with that with another person because other people are probably learning all day. That might be someone they might have even done exchange in Korea and lived in Korea. Or that was all they spent their whole day doing for 2 years, like all day. The more you put into it, the more you get out of it. With that said, if you're just doing it for a few minutes a day, if you enjoy it, keep doing what you're doing as long as you enjoy it. If you start feeling in the same word, and it came out as if you fart. So I'll slow down. If you start feeling like I want to get better, you're going to need to increase how much you're studying, obviously. But if you're happy where you are, then keep going. You don't have to push yourself to burn out. So do what you can. But just know if you did do more practicing, more like active listening, you're really focusing on trying to understand something like without subtitles. If you're doing that stuff more, you will get better faster. Pora says, I want to know something about colors. Yeah, 초록, 녹차. 녹차 is green tea. 녹 is the 한자 for in 초록, right? 초록 is from 한자. This 녹 means green. and it becomes nok at the beginning of a word. That is something called 두음 법칙. And I did a lesson about that. You can find it on my channel. Nok, it is this letter, same 한자. 차 is tea. So literally, 녹차 is green tea. So if you say 녹차 색, it's green tea colored. How is green tea colored different than green? Well, green tea is more of like a darker green, right? Like a powdery greenish, kind of a matte green. You can use either one. A lot of people say 녹차 for the color, 초록 for the color. Some people say green if it's like an artificial color, like paint or something like that. Green is okay too. Hold on. We got another member. Let me just turn off the, turn off the board here. Thank you. And welcome. Let me see who that is. Julia Angeles. Julia Angeles. We got 3 new members today. Welcome. Okay. 저는 두 표현 다 자주 쓰지는 않지만 굳이 고르자면 지언정이 더 자주 쓰이는 것 같아요. Oh yeah. Woo. Okay. I totally just guessed. I was like, I feel like Ł지언정 is used more often, but they're both like similar. And then we got a native in here to confirm. Says we don't really use both of them anyway, but if I have to pick, I would pick 지언정. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, is that these are not like daily use forms. You're not going to go out and be like, yeah. I was like, let me make a quick sentence that I was like, think of something I could use with this. 돈은 많이 못 벌지언정 유료 인강은 안 만들 거예요. Something like that. Even though I'm not going to make a lot of money, I'm not going to create a paid internet course. Sure. Would I use it? Not really. I mean, I'd understand it. I wouldn't really feel like I need to use it very much. I would just say, 아니 나는 그냥 인간 다 무료로 할 건데. Like I would just express it simply like, no, I'm just going to make them all free. So like I wouldn't, even if it means I'm not going to make much money, I'm still not going to make a paid internet course. I guess. But yeah, I wouldn't really use it very much. Like it was even, I'm like trying to think of what I would even say, like as an example. Okay. 철수는 I haven't read your sentence yet. I just started right there. 철수는 산에서 죽을 뻔한 후에 등산을 그만두지 못할 망정 그만두지 않았어요. 등산을 그만두지 못할 망정. So you're saying, I expected that 철수 would quit. 철수가 등산을 그만두지 못할 망정 그만두지 않았어요. You wouldn't really say I expected him to quit mountain climbing, but he didn't quit mountain climbing. It sounds a little bit repetitive, like there's no need to give that expressive feel to the sentence. You can simply say, I expected him to quit. Like I expected that he'd quit, right? Because he got injured. I expect he'd quit. But no, what actually surprised me was, not that he didn't quit, but that he went and bought more equipment, right? Or he signed up for a class, or he moved to Mount Everest or something, or he decided to climb up, some crazy high mountain. That's what you could express, not just, I expected him to quit, but he didn't quit. So you want to express something that's opposite, like contrary, really contrary to what you thought. But nice attempt. Vesta says, hey bro, just want to say thank you for the free videos. You'll forever be a legend of my journey learning Korean. Trust me when I tell you, many people appreciate your hard work and efforts. Thank you. Yeah, and also as 내가 밥을 굶을지언정 국어를 하지 않을 거예요. Okay. Even if I starve. Very good. And that's a really common way that this form gets used. Now, if you check the worksheet, you'll find more examples. This is 밥을 굶다, is to starve. Literally to not eat food, to starve food. And you'll see 망정 or Ł지언정, like that. Like, I'd rather starve than, or 죽을 망정, 죽을 짊정. I'd rather die than, I'd rather something than. Like, that's a really common way it gets used. It doesn't have to be. I really don't want you to think that if you use this form, it must be used like that. No. It's a common way that it does get used is to say, I'd rather starve or I'd rather die, or rather do something negative or extreme than to do something. So you'll see those types of sentences, and that might be the most common way you'll see it used. Hey, Amanda, thank you. Amanda, we got our first donation today. Let me fill this, my little donation goal a little bit more. And you get 5 dabs for the donation. Thank you, Amanda. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Shay says, my first time ever being present for a live stream. Nice. And we're in the end game here, the advanced level. Kajumi Anyusha. No, is that Musume? Can't remember. Okay. Yes, welcome. Any other questions? I'll take questions just for another couple minutes, and then we'll stop the stream for today. So this is definitely an advanced lesson. I can tell. I can always tell the level of the lesson by how many people we have watching it live. If I do an advanced lesson, it's usually around 100. For like intermediates, like 150, and beginners, we usually get around 200. So I can tell you the level of the lesson by how many people are watching live. After it goes up, though, we always, always a few thousand people watch it eventually. But okay. Blink's vlog. It's my first time to join. A few people are here for the first time. Welcome. I do this almost every Sunday. Tomorrow I'm going to be filming Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Editing Friday, Saturday, the next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And if everything goes well, then the next Sunday, I have another series to announce, which will be for all Korean levels. And I mean that. I'm not just saying it's for all Korean levels. Like, yeah, you can watch it, but I mean, like, it actually is made for all Korean levels. Like, legitimately, any Korean level will need it. But I can't announce what it is until after I finish filming it, because then I feel terrible if I can't get it filmed, and then, I announce it, but then I don't make it. So I'll wait. For good luck, I'm not going to announce it until after I finish editing and creating the whole first episode. Axel Alex said, I've seen you in a live with Talk to Me in Korean. Yes, me and Hyunu, we're good friends. I was saying this earlier, but I know of like every person who teaches Korean on YouTube, and a lot of the ones on Instagram and Facebook as well. But yeah, so some of them I'm friends with, others I've never interacted with, but I know them. I know who you are. If you're out there and you teach Korean and you're wondering, does Billy know who I am? Check your subscriptions. I bet you I'm in your subscriber box. I bet you I'm there. You can check who subscribed to your channel. You're going to see me in there. And if you don't see me in there, but you have more than like 2 videos up, contact me. I want to know who you are. I want to know all of the Korean teaching channels out there. Barry Im, this topic is totally advanced level. Yes. See, we've got a native here who agrees. Totally advanced level. I agree. And while I was even making this lesson, I'm like, how do I even teach this? Because it has 2 completely different uses. I can't like compare them together so well. Oh, hey, Evolving Brain. Thanks, Evolving Brain. But evolving in my brain. Evolving in my brain. Thank you for the $2 donation. Those are 2 dabs for you. Did you ever meet Simon and Martina? I did not. Never. I don't think they're in Korea anymore, right? They were before my time. When I started YouTube, they were already exiting YouTube, I think. I mean, exiting Korean stuff. So not really, no. But I know of them. Ayakata said, so if I'm a teacher, you would know me. If you are a Korean teacher on YouTube, then yes, I already know you and I already subscribe to you. If you have like one video and you don't, like there's nothing, or you haven't uploaded anything in years, then no, I probably wouldn't. But if you're actively teaching Korean, I know who you are. Boragul, how do I reach these kids? Yes. I'm something of a Korean teacher myself. See, Avion Paris, my motivation to be fluent in Korean is to see the shocked looks on natives' face. That never gets old for me. Yeah. It's still in 2022, it still happens. But yeah, Koreans still love when you learn their language. They are legitimately happy to see other people interested in their culture and their language. Just know that they're not like, if someone comes to the US and learns English, like who's going to compliment them on their English? Like, you might, if you're trying to be kind, be like, oh, your English is great. Most people don't say anything. They don't care. They don't notice. In fact, there are some people who will say, oh, you should speak it. Whatever. No, Korean, you go over to Korea, native Korean speakers, and you speak Korean to them. Wow, where'd you learn Korean? Oh, why are you interested in Korea? What do you like about Korea? What's your favorite Korean food? Do you like K-pop or do you like this? How do you like it? What, like they have all these questions for you. They're really curious and they're happy that you're learning their language, that you're interested in their culture, that you know about Korea. They like it. K-pop girl said, nope, they're also not together anymore. Okay, I admit I have not seen anything about them since like I started. So like I said, it was before my time. There are a few YouTubers who were teaching Korean before I was doing it and then switched when I was new. Another one was a Professor O. She still does Korea stuff, I think, but it's kind of branched out. I haven't seen what she's done either since maybe 2016 or 2015, something like that. There used to be a different set of people who were teaching Korean and doing Korea stuff when I was first getting started. That switched and now it's different. So anyone doing it now, though, I'll know, but not necessarily other YouTubers because I didn't have any opportunity to interact with them. Cat West asks, what's the worst way to learn Korean? Oh, hold on. I got another donation. PLN. Hold on. What is that? That's $2. Cool. From Victoria. I got a $2 donation from Victoria as well as another $8 donation from Evolving Brain, bringing you up to 10. So I got to do 8 dabs for Evolving Brain and 2 for Victoria. First, let's do Victoria's. Thank you. I'll check your comment. Oh, you said no dab needed. It's too late. You get bonus 2 dabs. And Evolving Brain. Let's see what you wrote. And what are your top 5 reasons for not moving to Korea? The weather in the winter. The weather in the summer. The rain in the summer, along with the hot weather. The air pollution is not good on some days. These days, though, if you're wearing a mask outside anyway, it doesn't matter because you're not going to have to deal with that. So these days it doesn't matter so much, but normally, yeah, I would care about that. And then the education system. Unfortunately, I don't think it's not up to what I would expect for, especially since I have a kid. I have to think about how do I want my kid to grow up, and I'm not wealthy enough to put my kid in private school. Or else that wouldn't be an issue. If I could go do private school, that's like $20-something thousand per year, maybe $25,000 a year for a good private school. I cannot afford that. I don't make that much money. If I could, though, then I wouldn't have an issue with it. But yeah, I'd say weather. Weather's the biggest one. especially if you're coming from another state, though, that's not a big deal. If you're used to snow in the winter, if you're used to humid summers, like, East Coast, Florida, New York, if you're used to that, then it's not that big of a deal. For me, I'm in LA. Like today, it's 70 degrees outside. Last week was kind of hot. I went to the beach. Like I could just, it's like perfect. Well, I'm bragging, right? But like all year round, except for summer when it does get quite a bit hot. But it's, you get nice weather pretty much all year round. That then I go to Korea and it's like, it's like a little hot now. Oh, it's too cold in the winter, too hot in the summer. So I'd say weather is the biggest one for me. Pora Gul, that's a good question. Pora asks, this one is a slang term that everyone can learn. I don't recommend using this. But the way it works is you take a verb stem and you attach 고파. You could do 고파요, but usually it's just 고파. And it's a slang expression that is equivalent to saying 싶어 or 싶어요. 하고 싶어. 가고 싶어. You say 가고파. Most commonly you'll see it like this. Like 보고파, 먹고파, 하고파. Like simple expressions. It's not going to be used with longer verbs in more longer expressions. It's usually used to shorten your sentence. Really short. So it tends to get used with short expressions already. Things like eat, go, do, buy, see. Those types of things that are already short. So it's the same as 먹고 싶어, 먹고파. And it comes from 배고파, 배고프다 plus 고프다. So it's come 배고파. So normally it's like I'm hungry, 배고파, 배고파요. So they use it as a combination of 고 싶다, 고파. So it's like I wanna do something. So like you say, 먹고파, like I want to eat something. 하고파, I want to do something. 보고파, like I want to see something. That's what it is. Dexter, I have heard that is mainly used in written. It can be spoken to. It's just a slangy expression. And when I say slangy is not always bad. But the feeling that you can give off when you use slangy Korean is Korean speech of a younger person. So there are some expressions, for example, like I'd heard someone ask something about adding kitchen appliances to the end of your speech. So like 뭐해 TV, like TV, or 뭐해 냉장고, or things like that. And it's just it could be a trend. Some people do it. It's not a common trend, but some people have done that. And the result of using slangy expression, I mean, it's fine to know it, but the result of using it is that your Korean sounds more immature. And with close friends, use it to your heart's content. You can say that sort of stuff. They're not going to care. They're not going to judge you. But if you meet new people and now you're speaking casually with them and they don't quite know you yet, and you start using those, their impression of you is going to be, this person likes using slang. This person might be a bit immature. Or at least it sounds like you're younger. It could sound more like, some of those things can sound more like you're speaking as if you're a teenager instead of an adult. So it's up to you. Keep in mind just the way the words you use, types of expressions can affect how people see your Korean. Like if I started speaking like this, it would sound cringy because, I'm 35 now. And if I were starting to use those expressions, it would be like I'm trying to sound all cutesy, like walking around saying, that's so lit. Yo, tight. Like, tight, actually, that's not a good example. We used that when I was a kid sometimes. But like, you can think of like an internet trend, something like that. And picture an adult saying something like an internet trend, like picture a 35-year-old guy doing dabs, right? Like that's kind of the feeling that you can get from using slangy expressions, is that it might feel inappropriate for your age. Doesn't mean you can't use it, but just people are going to perceive you a little differently based on what words you use. Okay. What's the main difference on Korean and English intonation? Evolving brain. Evolving brain. Nice. Let's see. Are you playing? Let me check this. Hold on. Evolving brain. Wow. Are you planning on any more videos with your brother learning Korean? Evolving brain. Just first one from $2 to $26. First, let me do some dabs. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Oh, that last one was really hard. Originally, okay, we wanted to. So I was doing a series of videos where I was teaching my little brother Korean, and I filmed them right in this room. I set up a table and everything. Those videos, each episode, I believe, was 200 gigabytes of video data. I used 3 cameras. We would record for 2 hours straight. The lessons I actually gave him were 2 hours. And then I would edit down the best parts down to like 30 minutes or so. Maybe 20 to 30 minutes. So what you saw in those videos was a 2-hour session cut down to like 30 minutes. Because obviously some of it, he's just like, okay, let's think. How do I write that? Okay. Oh, that's right. And he'd start writing. But like, you don't want that silence in there. So you cut that out. And they were fun. They were going great. And we filmed 1 a month. But the third lesson or the second or third lesson, I could already tell he forgot everything we did from the previous lesson. So like, I'm trying to do some review. Okay. I had him go home, do some more review yourself at home. And he got the alphabet down, which was great. But then beyond that, we weren't able to do it fast enough. We weren't able to do it often enough that he wasn't able to remember it because he's only having 1 2-hour-long class a month. And I couldn't meet him more frequently because of how long those videos took to make, how long they took to edit and everything. That if I wanted to do it properly, I would have to actually meet him and film like 10 episodes at once. Like I would have to meet him and say, okay, we're doing 10 episodes or 14 episodes, in once, 20 episodes. I don't know. 1 every day. Come over to my house, film, and we're going to film 1 episode every single day. That way he'll retain it all. And then we have him getting better over those 14 or 20 days. That would work. Each of those episodes, though, took me an additional like 4 or 5 days just to edit because they were so gigantic. Like I said, 3 cameras, all filming, full 4K, for 2 hours straight. So it's like I don't have enough room on my hard drive. I don't have enough time to edit them. And then at the end of the day, they didn't get as many views as I was hoping for how much time they took to make. So I realized, we can only do 1 a month because he's busy. He works. And it takes so long to edit. It's like, I want to do more, but I wasn't able to do them fast enough that they would be consistent. So when I met him again, he'd forget most of what he learned the last time because, of course, we haven't done a lesson. So I don't think it would be able to work much farther than what we got. But we did get like 4 or 5 episodes in the end, maybe 4. Okay. One more question. 2 more questions. Lean says, does 찌롱 have an immature feeling? Yes, but 찌롱 is older. 찌롱 has been around for at least since before I was starting to learn Korean. And it's just attached after a verb stem like 하다 하지롱, 맛있지롱, 없지롱. And it's just, it has that kind of feeling of you're teasing someone, after you're saying something. So it does have an immature feeling, but that's purposely in the meaning. So you might say it to your friends when you want to tease them as if you're a child, like, hey, I got it, or you don't have that, or something. It's okay, but it would be very immature if you're using it to your coworker, right? I already finished. Now you make like to your coworker. I already finished with my work. To your coworker, it'd be very inappropriate. Evolving brain. If I keep streaming, are you going to keep doubling? I took math class. I know where this goes. I know where doubling goes. I said one. Okay. 8. Wait. 32. Okay, 32. Sorry. Wait, that's 58. I'm gonna put it in black here. You are now the producer of today's lesson. I was gonna go, but I have to stay now. Hold on. 32 dabs first. Let's see if I can get my arms ready for this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Gotta switch. 1, 2, 3, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Hold on, Barry. I'll get to yours in a second, Barry. Gotta check evolving brains. Okay, what's something significant you've changed your mind on? Word. I mean, why teaching while teaching Korean? About teaching Korean? I'm not sure what WRT means. Yeah, I need some milk for my bones. Oh, I feel dizzy. Something I've changed my mind on. A lot. With respect to, okay, thanks. A lot. Because I am a learner. I'm a student myself. I still study Korean. I have books. I study every single day. I have. So while the more that I learn and the more that I understand, especially since starting my YouTube channel and I really started getting into the nitty-gritty about Korean, a lot of my opinions on how to learn Korean have gotten much more refined. When I started, I might say something like, oh, you know, the most important thing is you got to get conversation, make sure you get conversation practice. And that's true. But then teaching for a long time and you see what kind of conversation practice is available, now I might say something like, you need to be using it. So that doesn't only include conversation, you really need to get all sorts of input. And I would also emphasize more, not only you need to have good input to the language, you also need tons of output. So you're not just listening to Korean shows, but you're trying to understand them, right? You're not just speaking by yourself, but you're getting some input from another friend or someone you're talking with. You're learning I would have more details about everything. So not just in my grammar lessons too, but you can see this in my earlier lessons. They're much simpler because I was just kind of generally, giving lessons and stuff. Whereas today I realize it's more helpful if I give full explanations of things in simple language than to just give the simplified answer for when I'm teaching. So that's kind of changed because my earlier videos, I thought, let's just give the simplest answer that I can give. But now I'm realizing, no, people can get that already from, free blogs or either Instagram accounts or wherever. You can already get really simplified explanations. So what can I offer that other people can't offer or don't offer? And that is detailed explanations in simple language. So that philosophy kind of changed. Also, I really understood a lot of the grammar forms more than I did when, before I could use them, I could use it, but I didn't quite understand why is this different than this. I couldn't explain that. So a lot of that came over the first few years of starting to do YouTube teaching and getting questions every day. I also learned what types of people are learning Korean, how they're learning. If someone's speaking Korean, I can usually tell what level they are right away. Just getting better at my job, I guess. Thank you. Evolving brain. Okay, now Barry. 5 dabs for Barry. I saw you have a YouTube, but you only have 3 videos up. So I guess if you're going to do that, keep going. Thank you for your explanation. I was really impressed how to teach Korean for people who want to learn Korean. Great. Nice. Thank you. Drink your Starbucks. This is not Starbucks. The cup is Starbucks. We got it for free. I think we got it from getting those points. You get those stars or something. So we bought this, but it was free. And it's got a regular Walmart brand, I think. I don't know. Some store brand caffeinated fruit punch or something in here. And that's just so I don't fall asleep while teaching, right? I'm getting really old. Getting hard to teach these days. Need some energy. Okay. Julia says, do you know Tyler? Yeah, I know Tyler. Tyler knows me. I've never met him though. He seems like a really nice guy. Hopefully I can meet him someday. Chewy asks, did you meet Sana? I didn't go to the concert. So that's obviously, I didn't get to meet her. If I went, had I gone, I would have met her backstage pass, taking photos with her, everything. But no, I didn't go to the concert. So I actually didn't know. I didn't know where or when they were. I just heard that they were doing some concerts in LA. Twix asks, do you have any videos about apps you recommend to help practice? Yes, I do have a video about Korean learning apps. So check that out on my channel. I think most of the apps are still available. It still applies today. There are a couple new ones since then that I haven't covered, but most of the main ones are still covered there, so check that out. Let's see. Pretty Thea says, I think you should use tuida. Yes, I have seen that before. I'm not recommending it yet. I'm waiting to see what they do with it, but it's a cool concept. 키캣은 어디에 있냐고요? Where is Kikat? Kikat's over here. Kikat's just the only problem is Kikat's scarf is also green, so it doesn't really work very well with my green screen. I'm actually going to be filming Kikat tomorrow. I have to film Kikat in front of a green screen. If anyone has any suggestions, if anyone does videography work and knows, how can I film this Kikat with the green and blue scarf in front of a green screen? Now you might say, use a different color, to which I would say, I know, but I can't because I only have green cloth. I have to use cloth and the green screen. I do have a white screen, which I have an RGB light. I can put different color on it, but like I said, it won't work. I have to use green screen for this. So I don't know. If anyone has suggestions, let me know. But Kikat, see when Kikat's on the screen, it's kind of like, yeah, you can see through the green on her scarf. So she'll be filming tomorrow. It's going to be busy tomorrow. Let's put it right there. Okay. All right, one last question, then I have to go. One last question, I promise this time. One last question. Last question. Kikat needs a plaid scarf to match your shirt. That is a genius idea. That is a genius idea. Why did I never think of that before? I even have a plaid scarf. How's this look? I even have a plaid scarf. I'm not sure if that would solve the problem though, because I don't know if I want to change Kikat's scarf. I kind of like it, but yeah, I do have a plaid scarf. I've worn it sometimes when it's really cold. Yeah, I don't know. That might be. I'll think about that. I don't know if that's the solution though, because I like Kikat's blue and green scarf. I think it's like a trademark. I actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I actually have 5 Kikats. Believe it or not, 5 of the exact same thing. Right here in my room, I have 3. I have another 2 more over there. And one of the ones I have, the scarf actually comes off. It has a removable scarf. So I can get different colors if I want. Where is that one? I think that's in the back there, yeah. So it's possible. I don't know. Anyway, chroma key Kikat. Yeah, let me know if you have any ideas. I'm serious. If you have any ideas because I'm filming tomorrow, what I can do about a green and blue scarf, specifically the green, over a green screen. What I had to do last time is, if you watch the beginner course, Kikat was green screen there. I had to manually, every frame that Kikat was on screen was manually cut out. I had to cut out her scarf and trace it as it moved, like as she jumped away, as she flipped, as she went back and forth. It's all manual, like one frame at a time. And I did that. I think I spent one day doing maybe 200 frames total. Yeah, anyway, okay, that's enough for today. Thank you everyone for coming. I hope you learned something new today in this advanced stream, and I will see you again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.